So you should be able to see me in there. So red, orange, and yellow guy. We're looking for blue and black. So that's going to be our colder areas. They're either going to take shape or they're going to start looking like people.
Okay.
So obviously every human that we come across should be orange, red, or yellow because those are the warmer areas. Now I also have this video set up to where there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. I'll get out of the view so you can kind of see the blue dot moving around. Right now it's over here. And it does have a temperature on it, and there's an ambient temperature right over here, just right of center. I do that on purpose so that way you guys know where the coldest spot is in the frame at that particular moment. And I usually look for about 15 to 20 degree or more temperature drops. So it might not always be the coldest thing, but something might be taking shape and you panned it the wrong way and we didn't capture the full piece, but I can frame by frame it and find what actually happened. So the cool thing is you're going to get the full video back. Bad thing is we got to do a few starts and stops along the way, just because as great as this hardware is, the software sucks. So if we record for too long, we lose footage, and I don't want to do that. And in between walking spaces, like obviously we don't need to be recording that. So now that you kind of have the
Nick, I should have told you that I'm notorious for recording things.
Why is that?
And then I realized I haven't hit record. But I am recording.
What else do you record? Like,
no, I mean like anything. Like my son's graduation, I realized. I was like, oh, I didn't record that. Oh.
I have to say this. Last night was my first night back out after the hurricane mess. So last week I didn't have any tours. Like people were just scrambling and canceling on me, so I didn't even work at all last week. So my first group back, I come back to this group of 5. Most of them couldn't speak English.
No.
It was a very short tour. We'll say that. Like, I hate to say it like that, but it was pretty short. So it's nice that I don't have to kind of hold back and break things down.
Do you find that more or less, or does the weather affect activity?
So I've been gauging the weather on the tours now for the past, I say 6 to 7 weeks. I wouldn't say so much, like I'm really trying to gauge if it's a weather and a moon phase combined, like where are my most active tours, and I actually have a little rating system I use to kind of see where the more active nights are. I think once I have 3 months worth of data, I'll be able to really kind of confer one way or the other. Most people would guess like a full moon, brings more activity. It's not always necessarily true. I do get a ton of activity on a new moon. It just depends on the time of year. On the latter half of the year, a new moon, I will say, like we had a full moon. Was that last year on Halloween? 2 years ago? One of those, everyone's all excited because we had a full moon on Halloween. Like guys, I don't know how this is going to go because normally in the latter half we get new moons, which was 2 weeks ago. So again, I hated to disappoint him right from the start, but it's like I'm honest with everything. So do I have a full answer for that right now? I don't.
I just wondered if like major weather things like hurricanes or anything would.
I will tell you that last night, in one of the locations we're going to later, I saw readings that I never saw before, like off the charts kind of stuff. Like it's normally like kind of like a dead area, and we get things on the spirit box. We don't normally see things out of this, but this device would not stop on all accounts. Like it was just going like a Christmas tree was lighting up. So hopefully that'll do it for us. So what is this place? So if you can come in closer, you don't have to be so far away. This place is a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. This place used to be something, which is part of the reason why we're here. Well, the main reason why we're here. This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion site. So first thing I'm going to tell you is that I'm not going to be giving you questions here like what color is George Washington's white horse. We're going to be withholding information. Well, I'm going to withhold information so you have a legit experience. So who the heck were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. That's why we always look for a secondary verifier so we know who we're chatting with, kind of mentality. Now, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution, so that's a big deal for us in South Carolina. However, I hate politics. I just like to bring it up because it's part of our history. I like to talk about Eliza. Let's get into her. Eliza married Charles, her husband, at a very young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So we can ask her later on how old she was when she got married. We're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. So we're going to hear numbers that's considered young today. The reason I bring this up is because her husband was over double her age when they married. So there's a pretty creepy age gap back in the 1700s, definitely a creepy age gap now. When she married him because her father, who was over in England, where she's from, thought he was dying. He was trying to bring all of his children home one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so instead, she stays put. She gets married. 1744. You don't get married in 1744 for a green card, not even a country. So she did marry him out of love, and there was no foul play or anything like that. But she was right. Dad didn't die right away, so he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. He has been in town multiple times. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Now it started right here as far as being a major cash crop. It was already here from the Gullah tribe, so she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here, as you guys already know. You're from North Carolina. So once she figured it out, she moves it to a big plantation, gets a hold of her father, and says, the rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. So now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which is something absolutely unheard of. And this is where she lived. Now that's her business. That's the boring stuff. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are here. We can ask a whole plethora of questions. So obviously the marriage question is a big one we can go after, but the mansion's also not here anymore. We can ask what happened to it. If we get an answer, then hopefully we can ask when that happened and get the full date. I've seen that happen multiple times. So we'll get all three numbers, so the month, day, and year. There was multiple children. I only told you about one of them. We can ask how many children she had and what their names were, because sometimes they're actually here with her. We never know. Pretty much the only thing we ask about the children is because there's a tragedy among those children. We don't poke the bear. If we do, normally all activity will stop. And I haven't seen any numbers show up yet. There it is. 4 and a 6. So I'm going to have to write those down. So those are small for this location, but again, that's still something significant that we need to keep track of because there's no electricity anywhere in this location. As far as Eliza's death, you can ask anything you want to. How old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, and which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. These are all very specific questions that obviously you don't know the answers to. So hopefully you're going to get them out of your spirit box. I'll be keeping an eye on mine as we kind of go through here. Let me see if I have anything since we got in here. Nope, nothing of significance. So I'm definitely going to write down that 4 and that 6, so that way we kind of have that on the record. But what do you want to go after first? What do you want to know? What kind of piqued your interest?
So how many children did she have total? So Eliza, how many children did you have total?
Eliza, this is Mike and Tina. We're just going to ask you the same questions I ask you every night. You want to know how many children did you have?
Eliza, can you tell us how many children you had? I thought I heard 3.
Eliza, do you want to give us one of your children's names? Look at you looking like a pro over there. 12, 24, 7. Every time I go to put the notebook away, something else happens. Liza, what were your children's names? You know how to use all these crazy boxes we have out here. Like, no matter matter how silly you think it is, let me know what you're hearing. If you hear drop it like it's hot, I want to know that you hear drop it like it's hot. You are still recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
Double check.
Yeah, you do need to.
It's okay. That's why you guys keep me around. I'm here to piece all the, puzzle pieces together and make sure everything's running properly.
So, Lassa, what was one of your children's names?
I'll wander up to this corner up here. 10 times I've gotten to that. Tell us what happened to your house.
Eliza, are you here with us?
Anything coming out of there?
Eliza, can you tell us about your children?
Also, when we're like out in places like this, people don't like their cars to be filmed either. So if somebody's going to their car, just kind of point the camera the other way.
Okay.
They don't know what we're doing out here. Mike, you got anything? He's probably got it blasting in his ears. He can't hear me.
Mike, Mike,
He can't hear me.
so you got it in both ears?
Yeah, I think so. Did you ask anything else about ages?
Asked who the president was. It's the pallbearer.
Okay.
Asked what happened to the mansion.
Well, it's funny because when you were asking that, you did get the word house popped up. That was about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And then the word illness came up. She did die of a disease. So I asked her about, what was the disease? Number 2 is usually pretty significant here. It's not the second president. So. out, Mike. They're going to be backing up. Wow. All on the back? Yeah, they're not going to get pulled over. So, the bike taxi place is right behind Big John's. So, we're still relatively close where we would see some bleed over. 27, 21. Not done to nothing. Wow. So I'm excited about the word bike, but I want something else. Have you heard any weird phrases at all? But it might not always be a direct answer to your question either. There's a lot of like good starter words on my, the word list. The word illness, the word house, the bike thing. Like there's a lot of like little tiny subtle clues that I can be looking at. And the readings here are actually pretty good tonight. I normally see about an average of 18 to 22 on a spike in this location. We've had it all the way up to 27 tonight. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. Again, if you're not hearing much, and again, you're going to get better at that as you continue through the night, just so you know. Like, this is a great starter place because it is such an active location, but I'm going to get you all the answers. So if you want to stop your video, Tina,
okay.
And if you want to turn down your... Think about this alley? So, I like to come down, I'm sure you guys picked up on the fact that I like to go to the places the other tourists don't go to. Every once in a while I'll see another tour down here, but it's not very often. But when we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Main Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So we're standing on one of the first streets we ever had. The two buildings obviously weren't here, but you guys normally tell me that you're getting the same two names on the spirit boxes on the way down here. So I have my full groups of 10. There are 6 spirit boxes going. They all do something a little bit different. But you guys always give me the same two names, Benjamin and John. So Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. I don't have anything else significant about these two gentlemen other than the time frame that they lived here. John, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here over a 60-year time frame. So John likes to give us his last name to make sure we know it's him. His last name is Johnson. John Johnson was his full name. So we'll get John, Johnson, and Benjamin all in the same evening, and we'll get it every 6 to 7 weeks. Right now, we're like right at the beginning of week 7. So I was trying to remember, like, oh, should I have one last week? That was week 6 when I should have had most of the activity, but this is week 7. So I'm kind of expecting 1 or 2 little Benjamins or Johns to show up. Again, I need a secondary clue to verify that. If they come up together, that usually does it for me. Now, the weird thing about this location, the reason why this is happening, is because of the bricks. The bricks have been here since 1739 that we know of. So, again, the historians can't even get it right. They don't know exactly how long they've been here, but it's been a few hundred years. This is the stone tape theory. Like, we're working on trying to prove, like, this is actually exactly what's going on here based on the time frame of when things are occurring. So the bricks, the stone tape theory, do you know anything about the stone tape theory? Have you seen that on your TV shows or anything? So basically what it states is that any natural stone, which these are granite, natural stone, can hang on to the memories of the things that occurred there. So what's going on here is every 6 to 7 weeks, it's like we're being able to record it with all the electronics that I use. So the other weird thing is that granite isn't supposed to have any type of EMF reading at all. Now last night, we had a little bit of spike. We had a couple 5s, a couple 6s. So I was pretty excited about that. Those were high numbers for this location, because we shouldn't have anything above a 121. I'm just going to pick a random brick. There's a 9. And then it goes away. this is a location where none of that should be going on at all. I would expect that 1.1 just because it's coming from the earth. The other weird thing about this location, we don't spend a lot of time here because we're not going to sit here and ask questions. I mean, basically, we're waiting for something to happen on the recording, and if we miss it in real time, obviously I spot check it to see if anything matches up. But this is also where the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge, hence the name Lodge Alley Inn. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons as well. Oftentimes, before I even start talking about this location, people with spirit boxes will tell me they heard the word Illuminati. Like, first off, you're listening to radio stations. Who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? So that's my first clue. Second, we're only hearing it here. 6 times last year, 3 times this year. Again, you can't make this shit up. And I verify every one of them because it is such a weird term to hear on a spirit box from a radio station. So again, it's very unique. We've also got Founding Fathers. We've got symbols. There's all kinds of, like, all little tiny Mason, Freemason bricks. But the word Illuminati usually sticks out to me just because it is such an odd term. But have you heard anything at all since we've been in here? I know you've had that earbud in. Have you heard anything on there, Mike? Nothing. Again, not an easy thing to do. Check my notes real quick. It says the word tape.
Tape.
Stone tape theory. Wow. That's exciting. At least to me it is. Because it's not hearing me, it's sweeping radio stations just like Mike's device. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. So we're going to walk through this alley slowly to get to the next location, and it is another alley, and you've probably seen it on the other tours. We're going to be hitting those more popular spots now at this point.
I'm going to look back this
But the
way.
next alley we're going to, I can't take you all the way through it. The reason being is because I've been kicked out of it. I have all the blinky lights and noisemakers, and it is residential on the other side. And nobody's supposed to be on the other side, but I make sure I stay clear of it, so we're just going to really stay clear of the other side. But we're going to go to that next alley and kind of see what's going on over there. That's where we had all of those weird readings. So I'm going to be testing out a lot of things with the millimeter in my pocket here and kind of see what's going on, see if we get the same type of readings again. We have caught anomalies with the thermal imaging camera in here too, so it's a good thing she's nice and still with the camera. So hopefully with the hurricane and whatnot, we'll actually capture some things that have been stirred up a little bit.
Right back down, so are they gone yet?
I'm really excited about the word tape showing up in there. Like that's a big deal. there's kind of a wicked story here that I'll get into in here in a minute, but I just wanted to make sure I was getting like kind of a base reading. This tree is obviously fallen from the hurricane. It's normally not this messy down here. Now, were you guys in town for the hurricane?
No, we were at home for the
Yeah,
hurricane.
we're expecting to get some of the remnant from it at our house, but we just got a little bit of wind and some rain.
3. Very steady. I had a little spike of a 3. Again, this location doesn't normally give us much on an EMF sense. We just get a lot out of it with the spirit boxes here. Dr. Ladd, feel free to chime in on these boxes that I use as I tell your story. Alright, so here's the actual crazy story that goes on down here. So Tina's, if there's going to see any other tours coming down here, obviously we just kind of step off to the side.
Mhm.
We're going to film them. Still getting those little 3s. Now it's dropping slowly. It's so weird.
Like a word illusion.
Illusion?
Yeah.
So every ghost tour comes down here. I'm surprised we're not running into one of them right now. The reason why is because it's just a staple. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. We all talk about one specific duel because we can actually prove that it happened. However, I'm going to tell you the story a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. We need different clues versus the normal campfire ghost story. So here's how it goes. The doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to be getting married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor, get him out of here. To prove that he's not after her money, Dr. Ladd moves down here to Charleston, and as he's coming into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a good start to his stay in Charleston. So somebody was walking by and seeing what was going on, and he knew the guy. He knew the coachman. So he goes up to Dr. Ladd. Well, by the way, this guy's name is Ralph Isaacs, and I usually stop on Ralph because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from.
Mhm.
Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. R.I., even before I had the Ouija board, was showing up here all the time. It's the weirdest thing. So we would get the initials on a spirit box somewhere. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, don't go in there. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you, try to take all your money. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. We can stay there and be good to go. Doctor takes him up on the offer, and the two guys become friends. The longer the doctor's here, the more money he's making. So he's, pretty happy guy. Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. And every haunted city you're ever going to visit, which sounds like you guys visit quite a bit, has a whistling ghost. It's a guarantee. It's just kind of a cliche. We all have one, but there's actual proof of this one. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So they talk about the plays on the way home. One night they went to go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they were arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. So it gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. So obviously they go their separate ways. They're just too pissed at each other to continue the argument, but Ralph has friends here. So he goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Dr. Ladd sees the newspaper ad, kind of a disgrace to society kind of mentality, and he gets mad and he says, fine, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. So they come down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend, which is often what happened, by the way. He wasn't always a loser. Ralph has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor, so he falls to the ground. I don't know where, but he falls. His friends pick him up. They carry him back to 59 Church Street, and he died 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. If you remember, he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed the bullet out himself. So the ghost story part of this is that as you walk through the alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Other ghost tours, again, it's a weird instance. So I have had, instances with the voice recorder when I used to take my groups all the way through here. Now, keep in mind, I just started coming to this corner again, over here by the gate. I was telling the story for the past year over there by that white building since I got moved out of there. But I have some whistles I can't debunk. Keep in mind, if you're going to try this on your own with the voice recorder from your phone and listen to it later, every local knows this story. Everybody that walks by Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every night. So, like, we're going to end right up the road here. My garage is this way, so I have to pass the alley every night on my way back to my car. So I throw a whistle down every single night, especially since I got thrown out of here. So here's the fun part of how I got thrown out, because everybody wants to know how the hell I got kicked out of here. I used to go all the way through to the end, and I would point out that the bricks down there are older than the bricks up here because this wasn't, it didn't go all the way through, which means those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes on those bricks up there. And I would always show it off because it's history. We all need to see it to show how far we've come. I don't care what diverse group I had, I'm still going to show it off. And you can definitely tell it's a child's hand. It's a full handprint. But it's residential at the end, and everybody wants to try to put a spirit box or an EMF meter or something near it. You know, that kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. So I'm trying to shoo my team along on November 26th of 2020, and the neighbor came out. He just bought that mansion, and he was tired of me walking past his dining room window every night. So I said, okay, great. So he come out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night, and Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. It was November 27th. The dates mean something. We'll get into it. So I don't work Thanksgivings anymore. I worked in retail management for over 20 years for Walmart. Like, I'm not doing retail, or I'm not doing Thanksgiving ever again. So I didn't have a tour. The next day was the 28th. I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do, or to reroute my group. I decided it's not fair for my 10 to try to work around 20 to 60 other people. So we're going to reroute. And I told my group that night, I don't believe in the story I'm about to tell you. I don't even know much about it. It's about pirates. And you're in Charleston, I'm a vampire guy, so we're going to see what happens and wing it. So before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. So I'm like, okay. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was like, maybe something is going to happen. We get up there. I told a little bit I did know about pirates at the time. Somebody else hears the number 300. No idea what that means. We go home. The next morning, I'm doing the research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her trial.
Wow.
So keep taking you guys back there in hopes that we're going to find more and more. Now, I've done a shit ton of research on pirates ever since then because I'm a vampire guy. More books about pirates I've ever wanted to read because trying to piece together a factual investigation based on pirate lore can be difficult. So everything that we're going to talk about pirates up there has been verified by more than one resource. I made sure like my research was diligent, and everything I'm about to tell you is, again, from at least 2 or more resources that said the exact same thing. Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town. As far as this location where we're going, I'll explain more of why we go to that specific location once we get there, but we're going to kind of peek around the corner and go over to the church real quick. We're going to see if there's any other tours out there, and because there's nobody here, I'm going to guess if there's nobody up there, which gives us an opportunity for me to throw in an extra story that I don't normally get to tell. So, have you heard anything since we've been here? I know you've been trying to focus on me.
Nothing that stood out. I mean,
I did get the word moldy on my way out of Lodge Alley, so I'm going to see if during the archaeological dig there, if they actually found any, like, ancient mold, like, that would still be in there for any odd reason. Because they did bring up, like, a good portion of the bricks and got some artifacts out of there. So it was a very interesting, report to read. Face. You can continue recording if you'd like. Around the corner, if you want to give your hands a break, you can stop it and wait till we get up to the cemetery and kind of take it from there.
I kind of. Are we going in towards the circular church? Is that where we are? I'm trying to think.
No, that's St. Philip's right there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, the circular.
Oh, I didn't see the steeple there.
Way.
Okay.
Seems very weird. pointed out while we're standing here that we were just standing at is straight ahead. You see the hole in the wall across the courtyard?
Yes.
There? So that gate was put there for a reason. That was just a doorway. There was no actual like wrought iron gate there, but that was there in the event of a loser to a duel. It was a shortcut to get over to St. Philip Cemetery. Because remember that the alley didn't go all the way through this way. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and come back around.
Oh, wow.
And that's a long haul to be carrying a dead body. But not many people know why that gate is actually there. That wrought iron gate was probably put there in the late 1800s or the 1900s, just based on the look of it. But again, it was just open so that way they could go celebrate the winter quicker.
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird the little things you find around town. So I have a full name. It says Daniel Bailey. So I'm gonna look at the church, like the cemetery records, and see if there's a Daniel Bailey in there. And I don't know who the hell that is, but if there's a Daniel Bailey in there, we're gonna find him. So we may go across the street, just depending on how busy this corner stays. So. But yeah, go ahead and give your hands a break, and that way you can circle in. This is a longer story, so you can
Okay. I mean, I'm good. I'm just trying to see if anything spikes or comes up
So
while you're
this-
talking, because I can hear you okay.
Okay, perfect. So this location, we're going to be looking at that little building over there with the crosses on it. You guys have been down here enough, you should know that those are not crosses, they're earthquake bolts. So earthquake bolts, if you're not familiar with them, they're basically turnbuckles. If we get another earthquake like what we did in '86, then you can turn those turnbuckles and it straightens the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The only reason I bring these up is because that is the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because it's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. And we do have other buildings that are slightly older, but there's no record of them, so this is claimed to be the oldest building that we have here in Charleston. Definitely the oldest government building in the state. But we're here because this building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny started her new life here. So this is what I call a familiar. It's like using a toy to attract a child most. Excuse me, it's the same principle. So it's just something that she would be familiar with. Again, this is a hit or miss location, so we're going to see what goes on here. This building took 10 years to build, 1703 to 1713. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. Not for our government. But our story begins right in the middle of it, so 1708. You're going to have to follow me a little bit. There's a couple of twists. Anne Cormack moves here from Ireland. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. Is everybody with me on that one?
Mhm.
Okay, it's kind of a weird plot twist. So they land in Georgetown from Ireland. That's obviously just north of here between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. So that means he has to send young Anne down here to sell things from the plantation to keep things afloat. Now, Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. So again, she was like 7, 8, 9 years old. Like, that's the kind of mentality I want to put in the back of your brain. We're going to fast forward. The building's done in 1713. Pirates were coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked. She's going to fall in love pretty quickly because she wants her freedom, just like a man. First guy she falls in love with, James Bonny. You can already see where this one's going, right? Now, Dad didn't approve of him because he's a filthy pirate, so they ran away to Jamaica, eloped, got married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. But this guy is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, the crazy pirate dude. This guy is a spy. He's a privateer. He's basically spying for the British, so he's a coward. She falls in love again a few years later. The guy's name is Calico Jack. His real name, John Rackham. Calico Jack is literally the person they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So this is the Captain Jack Sparrow she was hoping for. He has his own ship. So she wants to be part of that crew, but you can't put a girl on a pirate crew. You know why you can't put a girl on a pirate crew?
It's bad luck,
It's
right?
bad luck. All right, good job. So not many people, like, I normally get rape and all kinds of things. I'm like, really, guys? Come on, let's keep it PG-13. So, but she did it, so good on her. But anyway, he makes a deal with her. If you want to be part of the crew, you can dress like the crew, and you'll hide your gender. So she's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. She knows it's a man's world. She's like, whatever, let's go. But she's going to be a female in Jack's quarters. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on a pirate cruise. Somebody's going to figure it out. So he drops her from Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine. Come back later. We'll figure it out. But she goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. I have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female, which makes Jack pretty angry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while she was away giving birth to Jack's baby, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a male, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to really know. But the British find out where they are, and they send an entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. So, 2 young ladies with 1-bullet flintlocks are not going to take on a fleet of ships. So as they're being arrested from the British, Anne looks at her beau, her captain, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So the word dog shows up on our spirit boxes all the time. Sometimes we just get dogs barking. It's the weirdest thing. But at any rate, the judge, his name is Nick as well. If my name shows up here, it's usually not me, it's usually the judge. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own, after he's already tried and hung the drunken pirates along with their captain, so they're dead and gone. Anne and Mary go in front, they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't give a shit that they're female, they're still pirates, he's still gonna hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they claimed, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging, but Dad is still in this area with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home, she remarries, that's husband number 2, but guy number 4, we're going to count Mary Reed, has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84.
Wow.
Yeah, very abrupt. We don't know much about her. There's a lot of speculation about what happened to her after she came back to Charleston. Some say she went to Virginia, some say that she completely changed her name again, but stayed here in Charleston. Nobody knows exactly where she's at. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Most reports will tell you that it was fever. I'm going to say it was scurvy or something else bumpy and gross. Use your own imaginations. Now, as far as this location, by this time, when I have my 6 people with spirit boxes, they all know what they're doing by now, so you've actually been doing quite well just listening in. I only leave 2 things out of this location, because again, it's all pirate lore. We're still trying to find some truths. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents, and I left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose, so that way you have at least something to go off of. Everything here is fair game. We can go and check out the front of the Potter magazine if you'd like, so that way Tina can get some footage for us. But I like to just kind of hang out over there by that wall and kind of see what the devices are going to do. The other reason why I kind of give the heated warning at the beginning of this tour is because September of last year, I brought a group back here, and the kid next to me literally went white as a ghost. I mean, he started to drop like a wet noodle. I had to pick him up by his arm, so that way he wouldn't fall. His boyfriend picked him up on the other side, and we got him over to the wall to sit down. He's feeling better. I then told the story. It was actually a nice cool night like this, maybe a little bit more. Told them the story about Anne Bonny I just told you, and it's important to know that they didn't know the story yet. I spread everybody out with their devices. Go have fun, go check out the cemetery, go to the front of the Power magazine. Everybody's starting to spread out, and them 2 pull me aside and say, "Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males, 2 females dressed as males on my tour." Just like Anne and Mary in the story.
Wow.
And it made complete sense to all of us that of why one of them wasn't feeling well when he got here. Now, there's another reason why I usually ask what the relationship is. I'm like, what's the dynamic here? You know, because I didn't know I had 2 transgenders. I would have never guessed it in anything. So it was just a matter of like, I don't look at that.
Right.
You're here to have fun. I'm going to show you a good time. And unless I'm talking to a little kid, I'm like, "Are you Dad? Can I call it Dad to you?" Like, so that way he knows who I'm talking about. But that's part of the reason why I give those warnings. And psychics and mediums, they normally don't even make it through this tour. Like, we get to the Pinckney Mansion site where we get some of those higher EMFs, and they can't handle it. And I don't know about you, but my ears were ringing like crazy in Philadelphia. Like, I noticed. I don't know if you noticed me cock my head. You'll probably see it on the video, but I mean, I got a very high pitched like ear ringing in my ears. I was like, okay, we're gonna get out of here pretty swift because I don't know what's going on here. And just getting any EMF there, especially the high numbers we got there last night, I don't play around with that stuff just because I have seizures. So that high EMF can mess with my brain. Well, you should know that as a pharmacist. So once they start hitting triple digits, we're out of there. I can handle up to like 30 to 40 and just have a mild headache and still, continue an investigation. But anything higher than that, I'm gonna a little kind of circle around here. We'll kind of head over to that wall. Do you have anything going on with your spirit box?
I've just heard dangerous descriptions.
I like that one. You been seeing anything in there, Tina?
Mm-mm.
The camera also likes to act up at this location. I've seen it where it'll have like some white lines come across it, and whoever you're filming, their device will stop working. I've seen that twice now. Not anytime recent, but it has happened.
Right. I haven't seen anything different really than what I'm
You're
seeing.
like the most steady camera person I think I've ever seen. I'm gonna have to get you a job. And I send the videos, because I have another camera we use too. I send them to YouTube so that way you guys can watch them however you want to.
Okay.
I just splice all the little segments together so you have one video. What's nice about this one is it actually puts it in sequential order. The other one, it doesn't. I've tried a million times. It jumps it all over the place. I think it's based on the size of the file. But this one, it'll be in order. So however you recorded it is exactly how you'll get it back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not picking up anything unusual, at least to my eyes.
Well, that's part of the reason why I said that is because with the smaller screen, it's not always caught in real time with this camera. It's always about the review. So, because when you put it up on YouTube, you can watch it on TV, and you can see everything. I watch it on a pretty large computer screen in the mornings, so that way I can see everything nice and clear, and I obviously take screenshots if I need to.
Right.
So that's how I watch them. I still watch it straight from YouTube, because I can still, freeze frame it and do whatever I need to when the things occur. I love how he's super focused, by the way. Love it.
It's precious.
Love it, love it, love it. He hasn't heard a whole lot. But I think once I get him the list of the things that I find, it'll teach him how to listen to it.
Right.
I don't normally get readings here, so I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it.
I don't think I heard the Anne Bonny story.
Most people don't go into the depths of it here. Now, they used to do an investigation in the front lawn of this place for Anne Bonny, and that's all they did for 2 hours. I don't know what kind of story they told, but I have done extensive research on this one, trying to make sure everything I talk about with her is as true as I can possibly get to. So it's a matter of, I go into the details, because there are other things that I get that we didn't know. I didn't know that Mary Read went by Mark. We had the name Mark show up one night, so I started Anne Bonny, Mark. Boom, there it was.
Wow.
Same thing with that George Washington bit. Most of the things I tell you guys, it's from stuff I learned along the tour. It's not that the tourism office gave me, here's a script of what you need to do. It's a matter of the stuff that I've picked up along the way. And I'm about to redesign the tour again because I'm starting to see repeat customers and they don't want to keep going to the same spots. So it's kind of I was thinking just the other day, I'm going to have to basically not sound like I know what I'm talking about for a while until all the activity picks up in those locations to be able to talk more about them so that way people know what to listen for, what to watch for, the questions we can ask. But the Pinckneys, that I hate to lose that site because I get so much activity out of it. But I think I might have to redesign everything because it's so far away from everything else.
Right.
think one of the things people like about hanging out with me is we don't walk far.
Yeah.
We're only 5 minutes from where we started. This is our last stop.
Okay.
So like we're literally like a 5 to 8 minute walk away from where we started. We only go half a mile. That's it. But we spend 90 minutes to 2 hours based on the size of my group and how much activity there is.
We haven't had a whole lot of activity, have we? I mean, other than...
Biggest thing I'm seeing is actually the readings I'm getting on the Melmeter. So we had a couple of spikes in a couple locations, but I think, because he's never used one of those before, I see this often. People really try to focus in and they want something to happen so bad, they just miss all the cool shit along the way.
Yeah.
So when I spot check it in the morning, there
Right.
it is. It's plain as day. So I listen to it with earbuds, not them cheapos that I'm
Right.
because
right.
I buy those in bulk, but I put my headphones in and I'm focused. I shut the office door so nobody comes in to bother me, and I got to get to work. But everybody knows if Dad's got his Beats in.
And those are you're talking about over the ear beats?
I use the one in
Okay.
because for me it's a lot easier to hear it that way.
Okay.
I've tried it both ways, but with that type of recording, it's easier for the inner ear. I prefer an over the ear.
I have some over the ear. I have some Bose that I bought, and I really like them. But I hear you. It's nice because you hear what you're hearing, but you can hear stuff you never like. You can still hear some noise out. So obviously, it wouldn't be good for this, but I like those because I can hear everything around me. I'm not, I'm not running down the road, only hearing AC/DC.
And my wife, she works from home, so if I'm gonna watch TV, play a game, do whatever, I gotta put earbuds in because she's on the phone.
Right.
So I actually have an over the Bluetooth set that I use just for TV. Like me and my daughter each have a set. So if we're gonna watch a movie while my wife is working,
Yeah.
We got to put the headphones on, but they're over the ear, but they are
Right.
noise canceling, so it doesn't bring anything else out.
Right.
So if my daughter needs to tell me something, she's got to come over and pull one off,
Right.
because we each take a couch. All right, Mike, what do you got going on? You got anything? Focus, man. I want to make sure you're in a trance.
You were like,
What do you got?
Trying to listen to the different obvious radio frequencies, if there's certain words there versus like the static, trying to hear if there's something in there. Not really picking up anything particular.
I think you're trying so hard.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
think.
was telling her, I see this all the time because people like you come and see me all the time, and it's like you want something to happen so
Right.
bad, so you're focused, and you're missing all of the little things that the radio stations are telling us, and looking in between the radio stations, static white noise, and that's why I say like we're going to listen to the radio stations instead of the in between white noise pieces.
Okay.
So yeah, when I find this stuff in the morning, you're going to see like, oh, how did I miss that? That was right there. And I'm going to find some
We're
cool.
talking about the ships, and it's funny, the police song, the Do Da Da,
Yeah.
that song, and I know they recorded some of that stuff in Jamaica. I mean, it made me think of, was that some kind of connection? But I mean, there's nothing, no particular words or anything.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that's okay. I was thinking the same thing.
But people often hear church music here, and I
Yeah.
get religious terms all the time.
I caught a few, like, you could tell it was like televangelists or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a stretch here.
What do you got?
So I was just curious, like just going up there. And it's not really sky because there's sky up above this building. But you can see it gets in the teens right up in here.
So along the edge of the buildings.
Yeah, but I didn't know if that was an anomaly or...
So it's still sky.
Okay, it is. Okay.
So
All right. Well, never mind.
You're gonna
then.
see too. Like, go ahead and put that on me for a second. I'll stand back.
Right, because I was trying to get y'all and that at the same time.
You see my body heat, right? But if you notice, there's going to be a black outline around me.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the comparison to my body heat to the ambient temperature makes it the coldest thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it looks like there's a black outline around me. And I get that question a lot, like, there's somebody following you around. I'm like, no, that's thermodynamics. You know,
Yeah.
it's a whole science.
So like
behind
it's in the 30s here. That everything I've seen where I've picked up sky has been in the 30s, but then like right up there it's in the teens.
Interesting.
In that little portico or deck area, it seems to be in the teens.
Well, it's definitely for me, to take a look at.
Like I don't know that it's anything, but I just happened. That's the first time I had seen anything that low.
So
And I was
because
trying to
the
keep
ambient
y'all in
temperature
it
is about
too.
62. Like, I'll be looking for temperatures around 45.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be like while you're scanning here. There shouldn't be anything here that's like 45 unless
Right.
it's glass or
Right.
some kind of metal that'll hang on to the breeze.
Mm-hmm.
And then normally in the summertime, I have to pay attention because certain things will hang on to the sun's heat.